This is the sixth message that mankind has received from the future after an unknown event called the Big Change. Several loose ends are tied together here, but alas, others that were thought secure have loosened. These messages, by the way, are not intended for us, but for their own time, and inexplicably, we seem to be there as they are being written or broadcast. We receive them in a dizzying amalgamation of both forms. The message. The world seemed to be put into a temporary state of amnesia by another iteration of the Big Change, and Craig is not convinced that we've recovered yet. By the way, we're speaking to you from our newish headquarters building in beautiful downtown. We'll have to get back to you with the name of the city. No, Craig, I don't remember how many stories our building has. That's not important now. Volume 1, number 54, 54th release. Craig, what's happening? Why are these letters coming first? He says he doesn't know. That figures. Sorry, folks. Normally, yes, Craig, normally, the letters column comes later. Craig, BTW, leads a contingent that wants to eliminate the word normal from our vocabulary. Well, let's face it, Craig, that's what it amounts to. Will you please stop doing that? Wonder if a fly lands on your tongue. Letter. I mean, do people ever die of amnesia? If they do, they don't remember. Letter. So, is it really true that you can't solve your problems unless you admit to having them? There are other ways. There have to be for there to be civilization. Say, what's your architecture like there anyway? The perpendicular Tudor style that developed during the 100 Years' War describes much of the society's architecture in the descendant lines within, while that of our outlying branches is more familiar in France. Some think it explains the two main factions within the society, the French section representing Craig and his secret cohorts, and the other, the rest of us. Craig says he doesn't have any secret cohorts. Of course not, Craig, of course not. Letter. I heard that childish adults and schoolyard bullies have, taken over there? Yes, finally. What's that, Craig? He says it's good for business. That snicker is going to distort your face, young man. Letter. Isn't your rise to prominence due to the surge in oil prices? What? Now that's ridiculous. Craig says that the surge in oil prices is due to our invasion of foreign countries. But we've never invaded anyone. We don't even have a military. Oh, he says he's talking about the metropole of which we're a part. All right, Craig, I'll take your word for it. He hates it when I say that. Letter. Don't most of us, look for approval? We used to, but now most of us do the approving. Beep. All right, we've sustained the flow of letters. Our staff scientists are some of the best. Now, on to the intended opening for this edition of our storied newsletter. My associate Craig and I would like to answer another accusation leveled against the society, which is that we think people shouldn't take their ideas so seriously, since nothing can be proven for sure. What's that, Craig? This might be good for a laugh. He can come up with them. He says that you can't be concerned about loved ones if you don't take anything seriously. Now, I might point out to the new reader that we're a little suspicious of a remark like this out of the old boy, since he doesn't have any loved ones. What's that, Craigie? He says even if it's true, it's not very nice of me to tell everybody. Craig, of course, has a point there. We'll be the first to admit. What's that, you old scoundrel? Now, that's pretty petty for someone standing on such high moral grounds. He stuck out his tongue again. I might point out that when he does that kind of thing, it makes treating him with kid gloves feel less compelling. Letter. So, I've heard that there's kind of a lot of nonchalance there at the Society headquarters. Yes, it's left over from our French existentialist period, when Craig had more of a say. Oh, poor Craig. Hee hee. Letter. Say, what do you folks know about democracy? It was more popular before the big change. Its brand carried more weight as a form of government. But it doesn't do much for a country's reputation now. And its brand doesn't rank highly with tourists and investors. Well, it's true, Craig. Letter. Yeah, I mean, some days I feel more trepidatious than other days. We attribute it to our new literacy campaign. Letter. I mean, like, people are sure different when they're around other people. Yes, when they're around, yes, when they're with somebody, most change. Not changing at all is something few can accomplish. Developing the ability not to change when you're around others is the final test in Eastern religion of being accomplished. Craig asks if I'm sure of it. I am. For instance, if you do a little tap dance when you're alone at home, should the mood strike you, you should be able to do it in front of others, maybe during long waits at a bus stop. You could even add a little song to it. Yes, Craig, like every little breeze whispers Louise, with a French accent in imitation of Maurice Chevalier. That BTW shows Craig's French side. Letter. Didn't dictators used to be considered bad? That was before people realized that CEOs are dictators. All right, Craig, that's chief executive officers. Letter. Yeah, I mean, look. I think I keep seeing the same movie over and over. I'm sure it's the same one. It's just good enough to hold my attention, so I don't consider it a great way to spend my time. Is there any way for me to stop watching it? No, but be aware that it's a first world problem. Letter. The society isn't really a charter city, is it? No, we're not even a city, let alone a charter city. Craig says not to be so sure. He says it's hard to tell what we are now. In any case, it's above my pay grade. He says it shouldn't be. He calls what they have in mind for us a startup political jurisdiction. He thinks that our metropole has been handed over to an external political entity that's trying to turn it into a crypto state. What the heck? Letter. Like, somebody asked me what my trip is. I mean, what do you say to something like that? You say what your trip is. Letter. I'm called a know-it-all. I don't know what to think. Never mind, come on over. Craig is the only one we have now. He's trying to get me look at the he's trying to get me to look at the expression on his face, but I won't do it. He. Craig, what happened to the space between letters and replies? He says he doesn't know. Well, find somebody who does. It's hard to read them. Letter. Trust me, I'm weak in the looks department. Do you think they'll ever invent realistic masks that will help people like me say something comparable to high-end hairpieces? Even if they do, I guess it wouldn't be in my lifetime, huh? Actually, such masks were considered for development. And then the idea was discarded when they realized a potentially disastrous consequence. Good-looking people would wear plain-looking masks, develop compensatory sterling qualities, whisk off the masks, and have it all. Letter. I would have thought being old, smelly, sloppy, unpleasant, and poor would be enough to hold the romantically inclined at bay, but apparently not. Is there any stronger medicine yet? No, a lot of people don't realize that weapons were originally devised for this purpose and only later used for hunting and warfare. Beep. Note, our scientists brought back the space between the questions and replies. They are so smart. Well, they are, Craig. Letter. I don't care what you say, lady. It's a nice, cozy world. It is, we have to admit. What? Craig says even with all the pain and suffering. I think he's being serious. Letter. I heard we all own shares in some place called Cloud Country. It's somehow connected to a past iteration of the big change when the first floor, presumably, of the society headquarters here was like the dark, soaring interior of a cathedral, dimly lit by candles, and felt like a sacred realm. It, like so much else about our building, invited unhurried looking. No, already? I'm told from those on high to end it here. Really? All right, they say there can be one more if it's short. Craig, see if you can find a short one. This is something he's good at. Thank you. Letter. Oh my God. Oh my God.